say I need, but it's part of the brainwashing. So I need people to know that these aren't Black people. And when we kept going back and forth with that, the manipulation for me is that they said I'm a different race than Black people. I'm Black, and that's hurtful to me. They said whenever I get upset by that, it's strange to them because they thought I would want to be something other than Black. And they said, well, as a 52-year-old, but it's something in them that thinks we're inferior, that we're dirty, like something about us is nasty, dirty. We have to keep bathing and showering. Listen, I am all for people not over bathing and showering. Years ago, there was a show that talked about it, and they said in other countries, like even European countries, so it's not about race, they don't always bathe and shower. They'll do other things, wipe themselves off or whatever. But for them, I'm so dirty, I'm so disgusting that I have to work so much harder than everyone else to say that I'm as clean as they are. So it's a big deal. It's a huge deal to get them to admit that quote. So they're saying that whenever they set me up, they try to use the ghetto Black race. Now, okay, that alone is racist. So they're saying I don't defeat the ghetto Black race. That's their life according to them. So I did a playlist called Life According to Them. So you know how they always said I shouldn't say never, don't say never. And then I'm like, well, you guys say never all the time. Part of the nonstop 24/7 talking is brainwashing me. So just like they say need a lot, like we need, you need, this need, never, never, never. In my head, all of a sudden it's like need. Okay. So it's hard not to. So part of why, besides this constant monitoring and surveillance. So when I wrote monitoring, which is part of the whole thing of remote neural monitoring, which isn't real. There's a lot of it that's not real, but guess what part is real? Monitoring. So monitoring gang stalking victims is a crime. The nonstop surveillance is a crime. Talking to some of us all day, every day is causing some of us to sound like them. And that's part of why I'm nervous. I think they just used the word nervous. I'm nervous because if we sound like the very people doing this, so if all of a sudden the victims sound like the predator, it's going to be hard for some people to realize why we sound like that. We're not, of course, predators, but why we sound like this. So the crime isn't just the surveillance and the tactics used, which are to break down victims psychologically and make it seem like nothing's happening. It's also to cover for them, for the predator, to make the predator seem like, oh, we're together. Well, I'm not with you. So when they're saying, well, that's partially what they wanted to do. They wanted to have this talking in my apartment to seem like I'm part of it. It wouldn't be done this way if I were part of it. I would just talk to them normally. We wouldn't have done this. So they said, this is part of an intelligence system. Not this. If you go through the research, there was something in Russia, in the Russian embassy in the 1960s, 70s. The American embassy in Russia, I should rephrase it, found that the Russians were surveilling them using similar technology, which means it's not about you standing in your apartment talking to people out loud and it's being broadcast through some sort of radio signal or frequency. That doesn't seem like I'm part of it. It's the opposite. It's a way of surveillance and harassing the people. So what ended up happening in that case in the 60s and 70s was once the Americans found it, the American personnel at the embassy got sick. Surprise, a lot of us targeted individuals get sick. So this is something that has to be exposed ongoing. Before I leave this, I wanted to keep it really short. Before I leave this, I wanted to say that when they talked about, I took pictures and I put it on Zazzle, and I have to go through that and start using that link. I bought this stuff that I wanted to sell as part of Cup of Java Productions. And I'm going to try to open this. I'm doing like an opening of this plastic. And I wanted to sell it, so I bought it so I could see how it would turn out. So when they were saying, oh, the picture that you took was of a child. It wasn't a child. It was a far away two humans walking in the snow in Central Park. And when I chopped it and cropped it, I said, oh, this does look like a parent and child, but it doesn't look like a child. It was actually not at the right angle. So here you can tell the back of this. It says Cup-A-Java Productions. This is the front. And inside, these are supposed to be cards that you can make yourself. So, write the inside yourself. So it was this card, and it says missing you. And when they were talking and trying to accuse me of being a pedophile, they realized the people were too far away for it to be a picture of a child. It was a tall person and a little person. And when I cropped it and changed it a little bit, it looked like just two people walking across the snow in Central Park. And if you're familiar with New York, it's hard to get a shot like that, where you just have two lone people walking in the snow. So it wasn't like a big, whoo. So now they said, well, now they're going through everything I've ever done to see if they can match me up to any pedophilia. They can't. I'm saying if you were surveilling me, which goes back to surveilling and monitoring me, there was no pedophilia. There were no children. There was nothing. So they keep trying to make this like, ooh, this is happening. And this is part of why I need to find out as much information as possible about this. If they were doing this for decades, why now? What happened now? And it goes back to something with the Epstein situation, and they admitted it last night. They said, when I was working on research for the Epstein thing in 2019, I sent a question to someone on Twitter, and I got a reply back, and the reply talked about, I asked what he was funding, what kind of research. Was it with mind control? Was it with, these types of things? And I got back, it was with AI. So last night I found an article that talked about he was helping fund AI, facial recognition. And someone, they're working on, you guys already know they're working on facial recognition AI and robots. So they're working on robots that are toddlers, 3-year-olds or so, who are toddlers. So why do we need toddler robots? And why would someone who is a pedophile have been connected in any way to connect to AI creation, facial recognition technology, and robots that are going to be children? And why do we need children robots? Thank you for watching.